The room went silent. Every eye in the small, dusty school auditorium locked onto Miss Clara, the simple janitor, as she stood frozen on the stage. Her broom slipped from her hands and clattered to the floor. Mr. Thompson, the music teacher, had just pointed at her, his voice booming. You, Clara! Sing the solo from Carmen, the hardest opera song in the world. The kids in the audience gasped. Clara? The quiet woman who swept floors and hummed softly while cleaning? Sing that song? Mr. Thompson smirked, thinking this would be a funny moment for the school talent show rehearsal. He had no idea who Clara really was. Clara's face turned pale. Her hands shook. The spotlight burned her skin, and the kids whispered, some giggling, others confused. She can't do it, one boy muttered. She's just a janitor. But Clara's eyes hid something, a spark, a secret. She opened her mouth, and for a split second, it seemed like she might speak. Instead, she turned and ran off the stage, her footsteps echoing in the silent room. The kids erupted in laughter, and Mr. Thompson shrugged, thinking he'd proven his point. But what had Clara been about to do? Why did she run? 2 weeks earlier, Clara pushed her mop across the school hallway, humming a tune so soft no one noticed. She wore a plain gray dress and kept her hair tied back, blending into the background like a shadow. To everyone at Willow Creek Elementary, she was just Clara, the kind janitor who smiled at kids and fixed broken desks. No one knew her past, no one asked. But Clara had a reason for being here, far from the bright lights of the city. She was hiding. Every night, after the school emptied, Clara stayed late. She'd slip into the auditorium, alone, and stand on the dark stage. There, she'd sing. Her voice wasn't the soft hum everyone knew. It was powerful, like a storm trapped in her chest. She sang opera, the kind that made hearts race and eyes tear up. But no one could know, not yet. Mr. Thompson, the music teacher, was new. He was loud, proud, and loved showing off. He was planning the school's big talent show, and he wanted it to be perfect. He'd chosen Carmen's solo for the star performer, but his best singer, Lucy, got sick. Frustrated, he paced the auditorium one day, muttering about needing a miracle. That's when he saw Clara sweeping nearby. He didn't know why he called her out. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it was fate. The day of the rehearsal came. Clara was cleaning the stage when Mr. Thompson shouted her name. She froze, her heart pounding. She didn't want attention. She worked hard to stay invisible. But now, under the spotlight, her secret was at risk. Why had she run? Was she scared? Or was something bigger at play? As Clara hid backstage, clutching her broom, a strange sound filled the air, a low, haunting note, like the start of a song. It came from her. The kids in the audience stopped laughing. Mr. Thompson's smirk faded. What was happening? Would Clara sing, or would her secret stay buried? The haunting note Clara let slip backstage lingered in the air, like a ghost no one could ignore. The kids in the auditorium sat wide-eyed, their giggles gone. Mr. Thompson's jaw dropped, his smug grin replaced by confusion. Was that her? He whispered to himself. Clara, realizing what she'd done, clamped her mouth shut and ducked deeper into the shadows behind the curtain. Her heart raced. She hadn't meant to sing not even a single note. She'd spent years hiding her voice, her past, her truth. Now, one slip could ruin everything. Why had she let it happen? And what would she do next? 1 week earlier, Clara's life at Willow Creek Elementary was quiet, and she liked it that way. She arrived early each morning, her broom and mop her only company. The kids loved her. They'd wave as she cleaned, and she'd smile back, her soft hum filling the halls. But Clara was careful. She never sang too loudly, never drew attention. She couldn't afford to. Not after what happened in the city. Years ago, Clara wasn't a janitor. She was Clara Villani, the brightest opera star in the world. Her voice filled theaters. made crowds weep, and earned her fame. But fame came with danger. A powerful man, a rich fan, wanted her to sing only for him. When she refused, he threatened her life. Terrified, Clara vanished. She left her gowns, her stage, her name behind. She came to this small town, took a simple job, and swore never to sing again. It was the only way to stay safe, but music was her heart. Late at night, when the school was empty, Clara couldn't resist. She'd sneak onto the auditorium stage and sing, her voice soaring through the darkness. Those moments kept her alive, but they were her secret. No one could know Clara Villani was here. Mr. Thompson, meanwhile, was obsessed with the talent show. He wanted it to be his big moment, proof he was more than a small-town teacher. When Lucy, his star singer, got sick, he panicked. He needed someone to sing Carmen Saloa song so hard, only a true talent could do it. That day in the auditorium, he saw Clara sweeping and, half joking, called her out. He thought it'd be funny, a way to lighten his stress. He didn't expect her to run, and he definitely didn't expect that note. Now, backstage, Clara crouched in the dark, her mind spinning. She heard the kids whispering, Mr. Thompson calling her name. "Clara, come back!" he shouted, his voice softer now, almost curious. She wanted to run again, to leave the school and never return, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the kids' faces, so full of hope. Maybe it was the music in her soul, begging to be free. Then, a creak. Someone was behind her. Clara spun around, her breath catching. A small figure stood in the shadows of a girl, no older than 10, with wide eyes. "I heard you," the girl whispered. "You can sing. Why are you hiding?" Clara's stomach dropped. This girl, Sarah, was Lucy's little sister. She was always watching, always curious. Had she heard too much? Would she tell everyone? Before Clara could answer, Mr. Thompson's voice boomed again. "Clara, we need you." The curtain rustled. Footsteps approached. Clara's secret was crumbling, and Sarah's eyes held a dangerous spark. Would Sarah keep quiet, or would she spill everything? Clara's heart pounded as Sarah's wide eyes locked onto hers in the dim backstage shadows. The little girl's whisper, "Why are you hiding?" hung heavy in the air. Clara opened her mouth to answer, but the words caught in her throat. Footsteps thumped closer. Mr. Thompson's voice called again. "Clara, where are you?" The curtain swayed, and light spilled in, nearly exposing her. Sarah grabbed Clara's hand, her grip small but fierce. "Come with me," she hissed, pulling Clara deeper into the backstage maze of props and ropes. Clara stumbled after her, torn between fear and trust. Had Sarah really heard her secret? And why was she helping her now? 3 days earlier, Clara had noticed Sarah before. The girl was quiet, always trailing her big sister, Lucy, the school's star singer. Sarah didn't talk much, but her eyes missed nothing. She'd watched Clara clean, her head tilted, like she was piecing together a puzzle. Once, Clara caught Sarah lingering in the auditorium after hours, listening as Clara hummed softly. Clara had stopped mid-note, smiling to cover her nerves. "Just a silly tune," she'd said. Sarah hadn't smiled back. She just stared, like she knew there was more. Since Lucy got sick, Sarah had been even quieter. Clara saw her sitting alone at lunch, scribbling in a notebook. Clara wanted to comfort her, but kept her distance. Getting close to anyone was risky. Her old life as Clara Villani, the opera star, was a ghost she couldn't let haunt her here. That rich man's threat still echoed in her dreams. "Sing for me, or you'll regret it." She'd run to Willow Creek to escape, but now her secret was slipping through her fingers. Backstage, Sarah led Clara to a cramped corner behind a pile of old costumes. "Stay here," Sarah whispered. "I won't tell." Clara's chest tightened. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Sarah's face softened. Because you're like me. You're hiding something big. Clara froze. Did Sarah know more than she let on? Before she could ask, Sarah darted away, leaving Clara alone in the dark. Outside, Mr. Thompson was losing patience. Clara! This isn't funny, he shouted. The kids in the audience were restless, some chanting, Clara, sing. Others laughed, thinking it was a joke. But one voice cut Throva Boys loud and mean. She's just a janitor. She can't sing opera. The word stung Clara, even hidden away. She clutched an old prop, her hands shaking. She'd faced worse booing crowds, cruel critics, but this felt different. These were kids, and their laughter hurt. Then, Sarah's voice rang out. Leave her alone. Clara peeked through a gap in the costumes. Sarah stood on stage, tiny but fierce, glaring at the boy. You don't know anything about her, the audience hushed. Mr. Thompson raised an eyebrow. Sarah, what's going on? He asked. Sarah hesitated, her eyes flicking toward Clara's hiding spot. Clara's breath stopped. Would Sarah betray her? Sarah opened her mouth, but before she could speak, a loud crash echoed from the back of the auditorium. Everyone turned. A tall man in a dark coat stood in the doorway, his face half hidden by a hat. Clara's blood ran cold. She didn't know him, but something about him screamed danger. His voice was low, smooth, and chilling. I'm looking for someone, he said. A woman who sings. Clara's world tilted. Had her past finally found her? Clara's heart thundered as she stood frozen backstage, Sarah's small hand gripping hers. The little girl's words echoed in her mind. You have to sing, Clara. They need you. The auditorium buzzed with restless kids, their whispers growing louder. Mr. Thompson's voice cut through, sharp and impatient. Clara, where are you? We're waiting. The talent show rehearsal was falling apart, and Clara's secret was slipping through her fingers like sand. She'd almost sung earlier, her voice nearly betraying her hidden past as Clara Villani, the opera star. Now, Sarah knew too much. Would Clara step into the light or run forever? Hours earlier, after Sarah's discovery, Clara had avoided the auditorium all day. She scrubbed floors harder than ever, trying to drown out the music in her head. But Sarah was relentless. The girl followed her, whispering, You're amazing, Clara. Why won't you sing? Clara's stomach twisted. Sarah didn't understand the danger. If Clara sang, if her voice reached the wrong ears, that man from her past, the one who threatened her, life might find her. She'd left the city to escape him, trading opera houses for a mop. But Sarah's big eyes and stubborn hope made Clara waver. What if, just once, she could sing again? Mr. Thompson was desperate. Lucy was still sick, and the talent show was tomorrow. He'd heard Clara's single note days ago, and it haunted him. It wasn't a janitor's voice, it was something extraordinary. He'd begged Clara to try again, but she'd shaken her head, muttering excuses. Still, he wouldn't give up. He'd even told the kids, Clara's our secret weapon. They laughed, thinking it was a joke, but Mr. Thompson wasn't so sure anymore. Backstage now, Clara's knees shook. Sarah tugged her toward the stage. You can do it, Sarah whispered. I won't tell anyone your secret. Clara wanted to believe her, but fear clawed at her chest. Then, a memory flashed her last night on a real stage. The crowd's cheers, the joy of her voice soaring. She missed it so much it hurt. The curtain twitched. Mr. Thompson appeared, his face soft but urgent. Clara, please, just try. For the kids. The spotlight glowed behind him, calling her. Clara's throat tightened. She could run, hide, stay safe. Or she could sing and risk everything. Sarah squeezed her hand, and Clara took a shaky step forward. The crowd hushed. She opened her mouth, and a single crystal note rang out. Pure, powerful, unmistakable. The kids gasped. Mr. Thompson's eyes widened, but then a shadow moved at the back of the auditorium. A man in a dark coat stood, watching. Clara's voice faltered. Her blood ran cold. Was it him? Had her past found her? The note hung in the air, unfinished, as Clara's eyes locked on the stranger. Would she keep singing, or had her worst fear come true? Clara's note hung in the air, fragile and shimmering, as every eye in the auditorium fixed on her. The man in the dark coat at the back of the room sent ice through her veins. Was it him, the man who'd driven her into hiding, who'd threatened to silence her forever? Her voice wavered, and the kids leaned forward, breathless. Sarah's small hand tightened around hers, whispering, "Keep going, Clara." Mr. Thompson stood frozen, his face a mix of awe and confusion. Clara's secret was spilling out, note by note, and the world was about to know who she really was. Would she sing, or would fear win? Moments earlier, Clara's mind had been a storm. That single note she'd sung had cracked her carefully built walls. The man in the Kofis face was hidden, but his presence screamed danger. She'd wanted to run, to vanish, like she had years ago. But Sarah's trust, the kid's wide eyes, and the pull of the stage held her in place. She was tired of hiding. Clara Villani, the opera star, was still inside her, begging to be free. For the first time in years, she wondered, what if she fought back? The man in the coat shifted, and Clara's heart skipped. But then, light caught his face. It wasn't him. It was Mr. Day. Daniels, the school principal, late for the rehearsal. Relief flooded her, but fear lingered. Singing meant risk. Her voice could travel beyond this small town, back to the city, back to the man who hunted her. Yet, as the kids waited, Clara felt something new courage. She stepped fully into the spotlight. "Mr. Thompson nodded, stunned but hopeful. Clara closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and sang. The Carmen solo poured out, her voice soaring like a bird freed from a cage. It was powerful, heartbreaking, perfect. The kids gasped, some clapping, others crying. Sarah beamed, her eyes shining. Mr. Thompson dropped his clipboard, tears streaking his face. Clara wasn't a janitor now. She was a star, her voice filling every corner of the room. But as the final note faded, a new sound broke the spell of slow clap from the back. The man in the coat, Mr. Daniels, stepped forward. But behind him was another figure, a tall man with cold eyes, his face familiar and terrifying. It was him. He'd found her. The kids cheered, unaware, but Clara's world tilted. He smiled, a predator's grin, and raised a phone, recording her. Clara's voice caught in her throat. She'd sung, she'd shone, but at what cost? The kids chanted her name. Mr. Thompson rushed to her side, and Sarah hugged her. But Clara's eyes stayed on the man. He mouthed one word, mine. Her triumph turned to dread. She'd reclaimed her voice, but her past had reclaimed her. The battle wasn't over, it was just beginning. The auditorium lights dimmed, and Clara stood tall, her heart pounding. She'd hidden long enough. Whatever came next, she'd face it. Her voice was hers again, and no one would silence it.